Look at us. It's the hoodie crew right here. Rick Kamla, FSWA Hall of Famer, Steve Alexander, a.k.a. Dr. A, bringing you the fantasy goodies as we give you a preview of Thursday night slate. Before we hear from Doc and talk about Orlando and Minnesota and the possible return of Paulo Banchero, I want to tell you about Bet Online. They continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. They've got the largest selection of odds on everything from pro and college football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers to hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Doc, thick slate of games on Thursday night. Minnesota plays at Orlando, and Shams Charania reported that Paulo Banchero is questionable for Thursday's game, closing in on a return to game action, and that Banchero is targeting either Thursday or Friday to play. So take us into that, man, and let's go. Let's have some fun.
Honestly, I don't have Paolo Banchero anywhere, but I'm happy that he's about to return because he's the man. And you know what? I root for underdogs. I like teams that are not supposed to be there. And that is the Orlando Magic. And if they get Banchero back, which they're going to either tonight or tomorrow, and they eventually get Franz back, maybe in a couple weeks, a few weeks, that's going to be exciting for them down the stretch. My biggest takeaway for Orlando is not really focused on Banchero because, yeah, he's going to hurt Tristan da Silva a little bit. I mean, who was really relying on him anyway? I mean, he's one of those guys where you just have him in your lineup and you let him roll. But this Jalen Suggs injury means Cole Anthony is suddenly a thing. So I'm rolling Cole Anthony for at least one more game, I think.
I love the take, dude. He's an excellent streamer. Really, as long as Jalen Suggs, I think he's north of a streamer right now. As long as Suggs is out and we don't know it's a day-to-day thing, Cole Anthony is going to be a very viable start in these games where Suggs is out. So if you find out and Suggs is not going to play in this game against Minnesota, if you find out, oh, Suggs is probable for the upcoming game, you can dump Cole Anthony and move on to somebody else. But while Suggs is out, Cole Anthony's definitely going to be a thing. I believe Dr. Tristan da Silva is going to do a lot of the same stuff that he has been doing, even with Paulo Banchero coming back. I think he's going to actually stay in the starting five here. So, am I excited about him? Not really. Will Paulo hit his stats? Yeah, a little bit, but I don't think he's going to fall completely off the table here. I think Tristan da Silva will maintain some value. Now, on the Minnesota side, Doc, can Ant-Man keep it rolling in a Lions Den, a.k.a. the home of the Orlando Magic? They're number 2 in defensive rating. They're an excellent home team. No Suggs, but you still have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But I'll tell you, Doc, if Jalen Suggs were playing in this game, I might be telling you right now, ooh, Ant-Man's run may go like to a screeching halt. But no Suggs, to me, equals another 30-pluser here from Anthony Edwards, who's totally activated right now.
Well, here's the thing about the Wolves. They're 19 and 17. We've had a pop game or two from Ant. What do you have? 52 one night, 39 another. It's
no, he's been 3 straight 30-plus, dude.
It's starting to happen, right? And this Dante DiVincenzo entering the starting lineup is huge for them. And the fact that the people that get paid millions of dollars to run this organization couldn't figure out that, hey, Dante DiVincenzo is good. Maybe we should play him. Like, they should all be fired, dude. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now he's in there. And you give me a starting five of Dante DiVincenzo, a happier seemingly content Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, who is a solid role player. He knows his role. He fills the void. Julius Randle, if he can hold it together and pass the ball and just fit in and score when the opportunity is there, along with Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid, and then Conley off the bench, that's a team that can win games. So I think if I'm a Minnesota fan, I'm like, there's hope for the future. Like, things seem to be turning around, right? And this is a big game. I mean, these teams have similar records, and it should be a great game. So I'm waiting for the Dante DiVincenzo breakout where we can all go, yeah, we called it. He's going in the starting lineup. Conley's done. Let's go. But the problem is everybody goes right at Rudy Gobert. And guess who's going to go at Rudy Gobert in this one? Goga Batadze and Wendell Carter Jr. They're both going to have good games because the defensive player of the year for 4 times or whatever is now a fraud.
Steve Alexander, Dr. A, I like it, dude. The Dante DiVincenzo thing, Doc, is a turning point for the Timberwolves season. It's a small sample size, but they're 2-0 with Dante in the starting 5. And they were a lousy, mediocre, half-assed team before. And it's, again, I don't know, maybe they went 10 in a row with this. Maybe they lose their next game. This is an at Orlando game. It's certainly not a layup, especially if Paulo comes back to play. You mentioned, but it's 2 games, it's 2 wins, right? And they stopped the losing streak immediately with the decision to start Dante DiVincenzo. Doc, in these 2 games, Dante has gone 12-5-4 with his PRA, 1.5 steals, and 2.5 threes. And I agree with you. He is due for a boom 24-point 5-3 ball game, right? And this may be that game. You mentioned Wendell Carter Jr. He deserves a second look right now by managers. Last 2 games, he's averaging 17, 4, and 3, 1.5 steals, and 2 threes per game. It's pretty good stuff off the waiver wire right there, especially on a streaming Thursday night. Golden State at Detroit, Doc. The Pistons are smoking. They've won 5 straight games. They're 8-1 in their last 9 games. It's the second of a back-to-back for Detroit. Maybe not the best ATS position for them, but they housed Brooklyn on Wednesday night, and Golden State may be shorthanded with both Curry and Schroeder questionable for this game. So what I'm looking for, though, is Ausar Thompson. He has missed the last 2 games with an illness. He missed Wednesday night's game with an illness. So, like, I'm out here playing through an illness, Doc. Like, what? Come on, Ausar, let's get back to work. Jokic just missed 2 games with an illness. This flu or cold or whatever's ripping through America, bro.
It is. It is. I've heard that. And honestly, I don't feel all that great either. And it's funny. I got a text message from our good friend Yuri, and she goes, "Rick just doesn't seem to have his energy tonight." And I'm like, dude, the fact that Rick was here and on the show last night was nothing short of a miracle. Dude, you
Thank
battled
you, dude.
through
Was that my
you
flu
battled
game?
through it.
Was
You're
that
a
my
warrior.
flu game last night?
It was a flu game. And I don't know if you did what Jordan did in his flu game, but you got out
No,
there
I did
and
not.
you got out there and you had a solid triple single, and we were all very proud of you, even though you called Tyson Jones, but your kid's name is Tyson, so that's okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm just busting your chops, bro.
No, I love it, dude. I love it. You said Yuri?
Yeah, our girl Yuri.
Yuri, what's up, man?
She's the best. She watches every night. She's got her own Bitches Be Ballin' podcast. Y'all go check that out. Yeah, she's awesome. And she's out there in California. Shout out to Los Angeles County, man. those fires are no joke. And I saw it coming, and I stayed up all night and watched that stuff. For some reason, Rick, I still pay for Fox West. So I've got Fox out of LA, um, because I used to watch football that way. And I watched it all night, and it's so devastating and so sad. Like, this is going to go down as one of the worst natural disasters in history. But this is a fantasy basketball show. So let's get back to that. Malik Beasley, dude. I had he like I love that guy. Like, I'm a Malik Beasley fan now. And remember when he started popping threes at the beginning of the season? Everybody's like, but he's Malik Beasley. It doesn't mean anything. He's been amazing. And I'm fired up about him. I feel like we're still in baby steps, kid gloves territory with Auxerre. Now, I agree. Auxerre should be rostered everywhere, but I just, it just has not happened where he can just pop like his bro. Like, Ahmed Thompson is popping every night now. And we're not even close to that with Auxerre. We just want Auxerre to play, hopefully start. That's all I got. Like, the biggest thing to me on the Pistons, if they're, what are they? They're 19 and 18. What if Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart were both studs? Like, what if Jalen Duren was doing what he's supposed to be doing? They'd be like 23 and 14 or whatever. Like, where is Jalen Duren?
Well, he's been coming on a little bit lately. He had, I believe, 3 double-doubles in his previous 5 games, and then did not have a double-double Wednesday night, but it was a goodie line. He had blocks and steals, and I thought was decently effective. But I get your point, Doc. I mean, Duren and Isaiah Stewart are not daunting for the league. Nobody's like, oh, we're playing Jalen Duren tonight. And the Osar Beasley thing is fantasy friendly for both guys, because Malik Beasley has, I don't know, it's like 14 20-point games off the bench this year, which is just stupid. And so he thrives off the bench. And Osar, when healthy, we both believe is going to get back in that starting 5. He's going to have really good PRA lines. He's going to give you steals. He is not going to give you threes, okay? Ahmed does not give you threes down in Houston. They're unique players that way. I noticed this in the pre-draw process, scouting them out. I'm like, yo, these dudes don't shoot at all. But they're incredible athletes, 6'7", 215. They're born to play basketball at a high level. If you've got 3 balls from everybody else, you can deal with a stud like these guys not hitting threes for you. Golden State again, Curry and Schroeder are questionable. I don't know if they'll play or not, but it's a fantasy wasteland outside of Steph Curry, and I'll give it 1.5 with Draymond Green, who has been playing actually pretty well. Outside of that, it's a complete fantasy wasteland. I want nothing to do with any of them because I can't trust it night to night. We are previewing Thursday night slate. Rick Kamla, Steve Alexander, a.k.a. Dr. A. Doc, Toronto at Cleveland. Toronto took an L Wednesday night to the Knicks, and Cleveland, of course, got a thrilling victory over Oklahoma City, moving to 19-1 at home. What? They're a 15.5-point favorite in this game. And I don't know, it's not an ATS release of mine, Doc. I will just say this. Cleveland does not take their foot off the gas. They're not going to be like, oh, it's Toronto at home. We're too good for this game. They're going to go out and bust their ass and try to win this game by this many. But it's 15.5 points, bro. And Toronto's healthy right now. So it's too rich for my blood. But I believe, Doc, we are going to see an inspired matchup between Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley, drafted both in the 2021 draft. Mobley was 3rd overall. Barnes was 4th overall. And I look for that matchup to bring out the best in both of their games.
I mean, this game's a dog. It's too many points to bet on either way, I think. Good thing that Toronto's healthy, because if they weren't, Cleveland would just decimate. But the fact that Cleveland held on and beat Oklahoma City, last night was cool. Like, everybody loves an underdog, and Cleveland might be the biggest underdog we've seen in a long time. No one saw this coming. No one. It's sort of like Minnesota last year when they were in first place, like in the West. At this point last year, we're all like, whoa, is Minnesota real? But I don't feel like we're there with Cleveland. We know Cleveland is real. Like, nobody is questioning whether this is a fluke or not. So, shout out to them, man. Way to go, Cavs.
Doc, it's really fun watching them play because I see some Golden State stuff with these Cavaliers, and I'm not taking anything away from Kenny Atkinson, but I see they literally run some GSW stuff where the guard gets by, basically top of the key. The guard gets by the first level and then dumps it to Draymond Green in Golden State. He's right about the free throw line or the dotted line in the paint, right? And then he just lobs to the rim to the guy in the dunker spot. And it could be a wing or a big. Remember back in the day, it would be Steph to Draymond to Andrew Bogut for the flush, right? Back about, 8, 9, 10 years ago, they ran that stuff the whole time. Golden State still runs that play all the time. And I see that all the time from Cleveland. I think that's really cool. It's Garland or Mitchell, and it's Allen or Mobley, and then they immediately turn and lob to the other big. It's a devastating play, man. And they ran it a lot on Wednesday night against OKC. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson, dude. They're 32-4. Okay?
Before
32-4, bro.
Before we move on, I want to talk about Scotty Barnes real quick. Toronto has won 8 games. They're about to be blown out by Cleveland, right? So that means they've still won 8 games. They're going to be 8-30 after this. What are you doing with Scotty Barnes if you got him? Like, there's no way that Toronto is going to let that dude play the whole season. Like, he's going to be like, oh, my back hurts. And, oh, I got to sit down. And then he's just going to go away. Like, are you moving him, selling high, getting rid of him for whatever you can get at this point? Or do you think there's a chance they'll let him keep playing?
It's
same thing with RJ Barrett.
It's a great question, bro. First of all, they are in great position to get Cooper Flag right now, playing their guys when they're healthy. So there's that. So that is an indication, just play your guys, okay? You're losing anyway. But there are going to be teams, Doc. Brooklyn is going to be an unrecognizable team pretty soon. Washington's going to be an unrecognizable team pretty soon. Utah is going to be an unrecognizable team pretty soon, right? So if you're going to run quickly Barrett and Barnes out there, you're probably going to win out of Cooper Flag. So you know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be teams that are trying harder to get Cooper Flag than you if you finish the season with those guys, if healthy. But Doc, I'm just not getting the shutdown vibes with Scotty Barnes that I am with Lauri Markkanen or Cam Johnson or Kyle Kuzma. I'm just not getting those shutdown vibes with him, man. So I'm hanging in there with him.
All right.
I will say this, dude. I'm also not trying to trade for him, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I do recognize that he might be shut down, but I would ride it out if I had him.
You know what's crazy is now that they're all healthy, like we haven't seen Emmanuel Quickly forever. Well, he's here. Grady Dick's been holding down the fort by himself. RJ Barrett is having the best fantasy season of his career. They've got Scotty Barnes. They've got Jakob Poeltl. They've got Kelly Olynyk. They've got Bruce Brown. They've got Jacoby Walter. I mean, there's actually a chance that the front office is like, look, dude, I think we start playing as a team and start trying to beat people. We can crawl back into this thing. Like, they may not be ready to give up just yet now that they're all healthy. Now, I think we're one injury away from any of those guys I just mentioned where they might be like, okay, we're folding. we're waving the white flag. But right now, they may think, hey, we could get hot and win like 10 out of 15 and get back in it.
The other thing with Scotty Barnes is the goodies, man. He's not Larry Markkinen, right? With a boring, I don't know, 24, 7 and 2 with 2.5 threes and no D, right? Scotty Barnes gives you like whoa lines, like PRA with blocks and steals and threes. Like I'm gonna ride it out. He's a rare player, man, and I'm a fan. I just before we move on here, Donovan Mitchell bounce back game. Okay, he sucked on Wednesday night against OKC. He is going to have, I believe, a savage game against the Raptors at home. Definitely played the over on his point PRA. Before we move on to the next game, we want to thank you guys for listening to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast. It means a lot to us, man. If you want to help us keep it going and build this thing, it's very simple. Go to sportsethos.com and subscribe. Also, subscribe to our podcast and leave us a 5-star review. It is Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander, the GOATs, the OGs, your boys here on Fantasy NBA Today, Ethos After Dark. Thursday night slate continued to be broken down here. Doc, mega game. Houston at Memphis. It seems like every night we get at least one really tasty game right now. Great matchups. It's number 2 in the West against number 3 in the West. Neither of these teams are supposed to be this high in the standings right now. Houston is number 2 at 24-12. Memphis is number 3 at 24-13. Both teams have had injuries. It hasn't mattered. And Doc, on a reality tip here for just a minute, Ime Udoka and Taylor Jenkins are gangsters. These guys print wins. You want to talk about a difference maker on the sideline? There's all kinds of coaches around the league. You can look at them like, is that a difference maker? Like Ty Lue is a fucking difference maker. Do you know what I'm saying? He's 10 wins a year, just Ty Lue. And Ime Udoka and Taylor Jenkins are difference makers, dude. They're culture setters, and I'm a huge fan of both guys. How about the records of Houston and Memphis heading into this clash on Thursday night?
I honestly don't understand how Memphis is 24-13. That just doesn't make sense to me. We got Ja Morant with a big O. We've got Desmond Bane, maybe. Got Jaren Jackson Jr., iffy. We got Marcus Smart out. Santi Aldama, who was so good early, out. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get more Scottie Pippen pop with Ja Morant out. I really thought Scottie Pippen was going to take everyone to the train station, to quote a famous TV show. I thought Scottie Pippen was going to be burying people. It just never really happened. I mean, he has his moments, but he's never really just popped. I would like to see Desmond Bane come out and just tear up the second half. I think he might be able to do it. But the fact that Memphis is still this relevant this late with all these injuries, that is a team, along with Houston, I'm sure there's other ones I'm forgetting, that people are not going to want to face in the playoffs. They are they're not going to win it all. They're not going to get past OKC. But nobody's going to want to mess with Memphis if they go into the postseason healthy.
I think Houston's even more dangerous than Memphis, Doc, because of the defense that they play. Now this is with a healthy Tari Eason, who's a total difference maker off the bench on both ends and just a badass defensive player. If they're healthy, main starting 5, Jabari Smith is back, Tari Eason is back, and you've got Eason and Amen Thompson coming off your bench, and I don't even care about Aaron Holiday or Reed Shepard at that point. I just look at them as more dangerous than Memphis. I'm just over Ja Morant, dude. He's got to come get me back, dude. He does. I mean, the missed games, it's such a myth right now.
The dumb thing about Houston is it's like Boston with Kristaps. Like, Houston doesn't even need Tari Eason. They're fine. They've got Cam Whitmore. They got Dylan Brooks. They got Amen Thompson. Like, okay, that's one less guy that Udoka needs to worry about playing. And then Jalen Green, man. Remember, he looked like a monster for the first few weeks of the season. Then he went into this terrible funk. And we're like, what happened to Jalen Green? Is he ever going to come back? He totally came back. Like now you can totally rely on Jalen Green again. And the thing I love about Houston is, you know how you see these kids playing like seventh grade football, and you're like, man, how did that kid get to be such a badass? And then you look at his dad, and his dad's just like some. It's because of his dad. Udoka is these kids' dad, and these guys play defense. They would run through a effing wall for Ime Udoka, and all that crap that happened to Udoka, or that Udoka brought on himself in Boston or whatever, like he's landed in the perfect place, and he's got these guys running through walls for him, and they will do whatever he says. If it's like he's got a keyboard, and when he plays certain tones, they just wake up and react to what he's doing. Straight out of Strange Brew, Google it. I love Houston, man. I know they're your squad. I'm sort of like coattailing you, but
I'll share them with you, dude.
They're amazing, and nobody wants to play Houston or Memphis in the playoffs, for that matter. And Cam Whitmore, as long as Tari Eason is out, Cam Whitmore is a streamer. He's a DFS guy. He's doable.
Doc, there were many guys on the Celtics that were not happy with their decision to let go of Ime Udoka. Excluding what may or may not have been done off the court, right? But they did not want him to go. There was a rule in the Boston front office that if you allegedly do what he allegedly did, then you're fired. And so, they had to kind of stand on the basis of their culture, and just, that just is what it is. You crossed a boundary that you can't hear, goodbye. But
there's so many NBA coaches that just keep getting recycled. Udoka's different. If Ime Udoka is your coach, you feel like no one can stop you. And that guy, I would love for him to be my son's coach. I would love I love everything about the way he manages a game. He's got his team just like playing on such a high level, and they're all sharing the ball, and there's no drama, there's no selfishness. He's like, we come to work, we play defense, we intimidate people, we don't take no for an answer, and we just go. And to me, he's probably the best coach in the NBA right now.
Wow, super high praise. Ty Lue comes to mind for me. The guy's a freaking mastermind, man. Always gets more out of less. But Udoka is an absolute stud. Doc, I have this dream, right, of being the Jerry Jones of a team in the NBA. I'm the owner, I'm the GM, I'm the Jackie Moon, I'm all that stuff, right? I don't need a shot caller. I'm the shot caller. I'll go scout these guys and make the draft picks. But if Ime Udoka was my coach, I know that I don't have to micromanage him or get on him. It's like, bro, you got this. I'm just gonna pick players for you and collab with you and sit up in the luxury suite and watch us print wins. But there are some coaches where it's like, does he really have this? Like, Ime's got this for sure.
Are you playing the lottery, bro? Like every day, trying to win $1 billion so you can go.
I see where you're going. I've played. There was some like mega Powerball, I don't know, several months ago, and I bought a ticket for that. But I usually don't. I'm not a frequent lottery player. I just feel like I'm throwing money away. But when it gets to be an incredible amount of money, I may put a little something on there.
Well, you're not gonna own an NBA franchise unless you make something happen. So I would suggest you head up to the gas station when we're done and invest heavily in lottery stuff.
It's just a dream. It's just a faulty, whimsical dream. All right, we're breaking down Thursday night slate. And moving on here to Portland at Dallas. Portland's in trouble here, Doc. Portland's in trouble. Second of a back-to-back. They're at Dallas. Dallas is coming off of a slump-busting offensive explosion against the Lakers when they scored 118 points, shot 52% from the field, and hit 18 three balls. And that's against a good Lakers team, okay? Portland, second of a back-to-back at Dallas. Dude, home cooking is in play. You can even look at a Jaden Hardy. You can, of course, look at a Quentin Grimes or a Spencer Dinwiddie with Luka Doncic out and Kyrie Irving out. Let me look up the ATS here, Doc. Earlier today, I looked it up and the spread wasn't out there. Go ahead, dude.
So at what point does Portland say to themselves, man, we've screwed up. We won too many games early. We've done a terrible job of tanking. It's time to tank. Like Jeremy Grant, bye-bye. DeAndre Ayton, how about 18 minutes? Like, let's let Donovan Clingan, who's probably, is he out for this one?
Donovan Clingan is out with rest. And what I think they're doing is auditioning Robert Williams for a trade here in advance of the deadline.
So Robert Williams is probably a solid play, DFS or streamer for this one, right?
If you need blocks, I agree. If you're a little light in like points and rebound or points and assists, and maybe you've got like you're doubling up your opponent in blocks, then I wouldn't pick up Robert Williams. But if you are block deficient this week in a head-to-head format, then I would pick up a Robert Williams. I do have an ATS release for you, Doc, on this game. Okay. Do you remember when Shannon Sharp was talking about the Patriots back when he played with the Denver Broncos, and he's like, he called in the National Guard, the Patriots are in trouble. You remember that? We can apply that here to the Portland Trailblazers, i.e. the Washington Generals. And Doc, you asked, when are they going to start tanking for Cooper Flag? It might happen on Thursday night. Like they might rest Simons and Ayton. God forbid they rest the streaking Denny Avdia right now. But Dallas, to me, Doc, it's kind of matchup based for them without Luka and Kyrie. Like if they're playing OKC or Orlando, it's going to be a struggle because the defenses are too good, right? But it's Portland at home on the second of a back-to-back. And all the role players that the Mavericks have are going to kick ass because it's a home game. Kleba's going to play better, and all these guys are going to play better role players always do at home. So I like Dallas minus 7.5. And I looked up that line because we looked at Cleveland minus 15.5 against Toronto. It's just too much, man. It's just too much. They could be up 23 going into the fourth quarter, Doc, right? And Toronto hits a little heater with some backups and gets a backdoor cover. No, I don't want 7.5 for Dallas at home against Portland. I feel like Dallas is going to win this game by like 15, 18 points. So I like it. It's an official ATS release for you guys. I'm 8-7 on the year.
No Luka, no Kyrie. We're going all in on Spencer Dinwiddie, PJ Washington, and the suddenly streaking Quentin Grimes. Najee Marshall, man, what a letdown that was a couple last game. I'll tell you what, I'm feeling Quentin Grimes in this one, and I think Spencer Dinwiddie finally did what we've been saying he's going to do. So that was good to see. And PJ Washington is kind of like a low-key rock star right now. So, yeah, I don't know how Dallas is going to blow Portland out unless Portland is like, we're not winning this game. You guys do whatever you want to do. Which sounds like that might be happening.
Here's the other thing with Portland, okay? They just went into New Orleans, and I understand no Zion, no Murphy. They obliterated New Orleans. They were up 30. They were up 70-40 was a score that I saw at one point in this game. It was over early, okay? And you had Portland winning 119-100. A bunch of Blazers played well. All the main dudes played well. They shot 55% from the field, okay? That is not happening at Dallas on Thursday night. So there's a come back to earth factor. There's a come off a high factor. You know that I fade that every single time. Wednesday night, going into the Cleveland OKC game, we're talking about Lou Dort, and I said I'm fading Lou Dort. I mean, he had it, the 3 threes at the end of the Boston game. Guys like Dort usually have a spike and then they drift back a little bit, and then they have another spike and they drift back. They don't do it every night. And that's how I look at Portland right here. I think Dallas is in a real sweet spot to cover a 7.5 against the Blazers. All right, Doc, let's move on here to Atlanta at Phoenix. It is the Coach Bud Bowl. Cam and Doc, it is Fantasy NBA Today, Ethos After Dark. Coach Bud, of course, coached the Atlanta Hawks for many, many years. And Trae Young was a fabulous player for Coach Bud. Jalen Johnson's not going to play in this game. Shoulder injury, buzzkill. Bogey Bogdanovic, he is a primetime streamer for you in this game, folks. In the previous game, he had 11 points, 3 assists, and three threes. And he's been back for a few games now. We may get like the 18-point pop game here from Bogey Bogdanovic. Doc is a Hawks fan, you know that they're 2-3 on a 6-game road trip right now. And getting a win here at Phoenix would really cap off the road trip in fine fashion after the buzzer beater against Utah. And just a Suns take for you here. Every single Sun, this is not a hot take. Every single Sun should be on waivers except Booker, Durant, and Beal. Every single Sun, Doc, should be on waivers except those 3 guys.
And they probably are. I mean, they're probably going to lose again to these Hawks. And I'm going to go Zach Risachet over Bogey Bogdanovic. I think Risachet is the better streamer. You know what's crazy about Jalen Johnson? This will only be his, 3rd game in a row he's missed? I feel like he's been gone for 3 weeks. Like, if Jalen's not playing, I'm just like, oh. And it just deflates everything in me. Because every single draft that I went into, I took the overrated Jalen from Oklahoma City, and I took the the injured Jalen from the Atlanta Hawks. And so every time Jalen Johnson is out, it just seems like a week to me, even though it's like 1 day. Come back soon, big fella, man. I need you. DeAndre Hunter is right now, dude. He's my 6th man of the year over Peyton Pritchard. There, I said it. And I just wish that we could figure out who the center is for the Atlanta Hawks. Is it Okongwu? Is it Capella? I have no idea.
It's both. It's a Gafford Lively situation. They begin and end each other's sentences. They dot I's and cross T's for one another. It's a 50-50 deal, man. And it's been that way at least for 2 years now.
Didn't Vic Krejci, I have no idea how to say his name, didn't he go off in the last game?
He didn't go off, but I think it's Vit Krejci.
I bet we're told how to say his name here in about 5 seconds.
I'm looking at the stat lines right now, Doc. There is nothing going on here. He's had a couple of double-digit games recently. Is he a streamer? Yeah, but only after, as Doc said, a Risachet, a bogey, and then, maybe this dude. Vit Krejci.
Krejci.
Oh, Andre was right on it. I was close. I was saying Krejci, but Vit Krejci. I like it.
Oh, man. Dude, I've learned more about actually, it was funny over the summer. Brewski and I were doing these podcasts every single day, and he's always struggled with names. He kept calling Herb Jones Herb and all this other stuff. And it was like every day was a learning experience. By the time we got to the season, Andre is not only an insurance guru and a fantasy basketball guru, but he's also a teacher of the English language, even though he's not It's not. It's like his fourth language. Andre's a bad dude, man. Yeah, I would never want Andre to be mad at me. I'll say that. I would not want. I would not want to be walking the earth, the hills of Dahlonega, Georgia, knowing that Andre was like coming after me. I'd be terrified.
That's Dr. A. That was such a weird tangent, man. We get several of them with these episodes, these previews.
Dude,
and
he's
these
like a
recaps
CIA assassin. Like Andre, like nobody's ever seen him. Have you ever seen him?
He's like Charlie and Charlie's Angels, dude. He
No
just
one's
speaks
ever
into the
seen him,
little
dude.
megaphone thing and,
And
the little speaker deal.
He does everything. And he's scary. And Brew told me, he's like, this guy is like a James Bond character. And I was like, oh God. So I try to keep on. If Andre says I have to have my column in by this time, I try to get it in by that deadline, dude. I don't need that in my life. But he's a sweetheart, man. He's such a good dude.
Yes, he is, man.
And he's gonna be so mad that we were talking about him.
Oh man, that's hilarious. We shout out our great producer and leader Andre Lemouche here on Fantasy NBA Today. He establishes the culture around here like Pat Riley does in Miami. And now that Jimmy Butler's not with the team anymore, Heat culture is in fact back together. Yes, Jimmy Butler broke Heat culture. He did. He fractured it. He did. Oh, funny. I didn't even try to set it up that way, but now we talk about Miami at Utah on Thursday night. That was some podcast serendipity. Doc, I just want to keep it really short and sweet with you. Utah, Collins, and George are out. I am sound asleep on the Jazz in a variety of ways. For the Miami Heat, I am very piqued by Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic. And I know we continue to talk about these guys, but we're going to continue to talk about these guys because it's our job. Jaquez, last two games, has gone, these are his averages, 17, 8, and 5, 3 stocks per game. Jovic in the did I say last 3 games? If I did, I was wrong. Last 2 games for Jaime Jaquez, the numbers that I gave you. For Jovic, this is the last 3-game number. PRA of 16, 3, and 2 with a block, with a steal, and with 2 threes. Okay. These guys have boom, taken a big hike with Jimmy Butler being out. And Doc, we talk about the Suns and the Warriors. It's fantasy wastelands because we cannot predict on any night what's going to happen. I do feel good about Jaquez and Jovic doing well for the Miami Heat. I do think they have traction night in and night out.
Well, yeah, I'm all in on Jaime Jaquez. And I think Jovic, who I've actually got him in a couple leagues, deep leagues. I already had him. I went out to pick him up last night, and I was like, oh, I already have him. Jaime Jaquez getting inserted in the starting lineup with no Jimmy Butler around. Like, you got to feel like Haywood Highsmith's 15 minutes are about up, right? Like, he's got to go away soon. Him and Harry Barnes should go down to the local pub and have a beer together at about 7:05 on game night and just get out of the freaking way. Let these dudes play, right? But Jaime Jaquez is, to me, he's probably him and Keon Ellis. Those are my guys you have to get if they're out there.
Keon's a really nice pickup right now, for sure. All right, Doc, before we get into our final game here, previewing Thursday night slate, Charlotte and LA, make sure you download the SportsEthos app. It is completely free, keeps you updated on all the news that impact your fantasy teams. You get tools that will give you the edge in fantasy basketball. Grab it from your favorite app store, the SportsEthos app. It's free, and continue to dominate with us. So the final game here on Thursday, pardon me, is Charlotte at the LA Lakers. If this game happens, Doc said it earlier in the show. It's so heartbreaking what's happening in LA and in California right now. The people in harm's way, the people that have been uprooted, the people whose home is just a pile of ashes right now. It's absolutely insanity. what's going on. God bless everybody, the first responders, people putting their lives on the line to save these people and save property and that kind of stuff. We just love y'all, and we're thinking of you, man, as we continue on here. But Doc, this game, might be, I guess, relocated. It might be postponed. I don't know, but the NBA last I read was monitoring the situation here. Last I read, this game is still a go. You or Andre can correct me if I'm a little, maybe an hour or two behind on the news with that. In terms of basketball, there's a lot of chalk in this game, right? From LeBron to Davis to Reeves to the big three with Charlotte, there's a lot of chalk, okay? The one non-chalky thing that I'm really looking for here is the Charlotte big men, the fives. Is Mark Williams and Nick Richards going to be a Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, or is Mark Williams going to get back to playing 30 and Nick Richards plays in the teens? Okay, I don't know because the last game, Nick Richards had the upper hand after Mark Williams had the upper hand for a long, long time. So I'm looking for that, but Doc, I don't know if this game's going to happen or not.
Yeah, I don't know either. What I do know is Charlotte has won 8 games. And you were like, they're going to beat Phoenix. They're going to take out Phoenix in their last game. And they destroyed Phoenix. Dude, I think LaMelo is going to be like, hey, LeBron. Hey, AD. Hey, JJ Redick. You are not Ime Udoka, son. I am about to pump you up like Arnold and whoever else that was on Saturday Night Live back in the day. Charlotte is, spoiler alert, central now. Like, everybody's healthy. Brandon Miller hit like 5 of 16 shots the other night to absolutely crush me in a 4-prop parlay. Just like Domantas Sabonis did when he came up a half point short. But I kind of like Charlotte right now. I feel like they're going to roll people, and everybody loves to beat LeBron, right? Like that's a thing. That's a thing you can put in your trophy case that you can tell your kids. And the Lakers remind me a little bit of Golden State right now. They're just out there running around, doing their thing. AD's kind of carrying the team on his shoulders. I'm feeling Charlotte in this game. Do you know what the line is, Rick?
I just looked it up. It opened at 9.5, and Charlotte money has come in, Doc, to bet it down to 8.5. So Charlotte now is getting 8.5 in this game.
Give me the 8.5. I'm going all in on LaMelo Ball. If LaMelo Ball is playing, I'm backing LaMelo Ball.
All right, we will remember that tomorrow night. You're my boy, but I am not getting. I got to have those vibrations, and those are your vibrations, not my vibrations. So I will give you that ATS release here. And so we are out of time, and we have fully recapped, previewed the Thursday night slate. We want to thank you for tuning into this episode. We appreciate you all. Doc and I will be back tomorrow night right after the games. Catch us on the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. Find us on the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed. For Dr. Ray, for Andre Lemouche, I am Rick Kamla. This show was presented by Bet Online. See you soon.